You know what is not better than one Royal Rumble? 2 Royal Rumbles. Sometimes less really is more. Since 2018, though, we've all had to pretend we just love having a women's rumble to drag out the show and sap away some of the intrigue and aura of the men's rumble every year. And of course, you can't even just say you think men, on average, are a bit better at pro wrestling without a horde of obese, spotty, hairy-necked Marys who've never even gotten to first base, very ironically trying to call you and anyone else who doesn't love their Joshis or whoever a virgin, an incel. Oof. Let me tell you, putting these whammons on a pedestal is the true mark of a man who cries to trailers of The Acolyte, and the true mark of a 38-year-old mark who diddles himself on the regular because no one else ever will. Eat a dick, White Knights, because pussy's never gonna be on the menu for you. Anyways, got a bit ahead of myself there. With all that in mind, this show opened with the Women's Royal Rumble. Do I hit fast forward? Or do I drag this out in the hopes this video gets more watch hours because of the length? It's a tough one. Io Sky came out first, followed by Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan was super over at one point last year with the Rhea Ripley feud and her Dominic Mysterio dynamic. But all of that has gotten a little stale. In fact, none of those three seem as over now as they did just a few months ago. That 12-year-old high schooler from NXT came in third. Not sure she should be allowed to wrestle at her age, to be perfectly honest with you. No doubt Kenny Omega's licking his lips at home watching this. Chelsea Green, she's quite funny. There is personality to appreciate. She had a spot where she threw everyone over the top rope, but failed to eliminate any of them. I found it quite amusing. Boy, I tell you, there is a lot of real nobodies in this match. Zoe Stark, no one cares. In fact, in general, no one cares about Team Lesbian. I think that's what Sonya Deville's team's name is now. I can't quite remember. Ivy Nile threw some crisp German suplexes here and there. I finally learned her name. Piper Niven reminded me of the benefits of a keto diet when she came waddling out. She eliminated Chelsea Green to boos, and rightly so. Green actually has appeal, and a feud with her dewdrop henchwoman won't do her any favours. Bianca Belair came in very over, got more over, with a silly spot where she kept doing the 10 punches in the corner on people. It was entertaining, silly in a good way. Obviously, though, for reasons, Bianca Belair is no longer allowed to seemingly be a single star. And if you're wondering why, do feel free to check out my most popular video, one that WWE relentlessly tried to suppress and copyright kill, to get an idea of maybe, allegedly, why Bianca Belair might not be getting the turbo push anymore. Bayley came out. Can you believe they put her pathetic finisher in some of the Netflix ads for Raw? Of all the cool moves that you could showcase in both the men's and women's divisions, they go for a cack-handed, low-impact, awkward little faceplant on a kneeling opponent. What a joke. Bayley sucks on the mic. There you go, I said it. Boring in the ring. Never would have been pushed in any era before Stephanie McMahon infected the promotion with the chronic disease that was the women's revolution. Jordan Grace from TNG came out on more steroids than Dwayne the Roy Johnson. Ridiculously unhealthy. And look, I know many of the great talents of yesteryear are on a shed load of steroids as well, but again, that was unhealthy too. Everyone was trying to act like this was a huge thing. Jordan Grace, that is, not wrestlers on steroids 20 years ago. And look, she might become a big thing in WWE, okay, sure. But acting like someone from TNA is a big deal in WWE is just ridiculous. Vince McMahon is rolling over in his grave, and he's not even dead yet. Alexa Bliss is back. Massive pup, to be fair. Still doing a creepy child woman doll gimmick from the Fiend days. First appearance in I don't even know how long. She's been on maternity leave for ages. And say what you will about Bliss, this was the first entrant that got the superstar treatment from fans. Absence really does make the heart grow fonder, I suppose. Stephanie Vacker came out. She got notice for working with Butch Sadie's Brochet in AEW a while back. And the moment she got that hype, the moment she got that interest, she hightailed it to WWE instead of becoming Tony Khan's next throwaway toy. Smart woman. Julia is really hot. I don't know what else to say. Some folks, they just have that vibe. This lady is one of them. The way she carries herself, her look. Wow. I almost have to start watching NXT properly again. Which actually is quite a decent show, and they have a pretty good men's world champ at the moment, in fairness. Trish Stratus came back. Again. Look, I like Trish as much as the next guy, and believe me, I liked her work a lot when I was a kid. But these endless returns over the years are losing some of their star value and impact. Still a big pop for her, though, which is nice. Sadly, my new favourite women's wrestler, Julia, did not win the Royal Rumble. I barely got to know her on this show. I was rooting for her. Instead, as I predicted earlier this week, or it might have been last week, I've been drinking a lot this past month, I don't know. The continued push of Charlotte Flair. That will continue until this woman retires, and then unretires, and then retires, and back and forth again and again like her old man. That push kicked in hard in the late stage of the match. Elimination Frenzy, including Doudrop, which got a pup from me, or it would have if I was there. I'm not the kind of sad guy who pups at a television. Anyway, let's move ahead. Charlotte Flair throws Child Lady from NXT over the top for the win. Child Lady lasted over an hour, very impressive. That being said, the size difference here was a bit comical. Charlotte Flair, the queen of forgettable hot potato title runs, is back in the game. So many women's rumbles have revolved around her, and this one is presumably leading to her versus Tiffany Stratton at this year's Mania. Crowd gave her a very nice ovation, and you could tell Flair was emotional after such a long stretch out of the ring. So in that sense, nice moment to close the match on. Next up, the middle-aged Machine Guns failed in their bid to reclaim the SmackDown midget titles from #GAY. Quite surprising, considering the Guns are a dynamic, fresh act, fresh for WWE, who received a fair bit of promotional hype upon finally joining WWE. Seeing them fail here was quite eyebrow-raising. GAY, meanwhile, have never been over on the main roster with anyone but Triple Nose himself, who just can't seem to accept defeat in this regard. Weirdly, despite the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation, the match only went about 14 minutes. And as much fun as I make of both GAY and former AEW tag champs Find the Remote, they actually had an awesome 2 out of 3 falls bout in NXT, a long ways back now. I was half expecting this bout to maybe follow a similar structure, and the main thing it took from it was a rushed first fall, the worst aspect they could have possibly taken. About 3 minutes in, Tommaso Ciampa obliterates Alex Shelley with one of his surgically destroyed knees. This is a thing in 2 out of 3 falls matches. It's stupid. I find it very annoying. And I'd be interested, for the 2 people who watch this video, to see if anyone else feels the same way. Where the first fall is nearly always a surprise early pin that would never happen in a 1-fall match. Right? It's no longer shocking. It's always to be expected. Sami Zayn and Cesaro did it over a decade ago. Even the all-time classic, the 2 out of 3 falls match between Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega in 2018, had this, where Okada gets a surprise counter pin on Omega half an hour or so in, which, to be clear, is like 5 to 10 minutes in for a match between those two. There was a very neat moment here, it looks really good, where Shelley slammed Johnny Gargano into a Tree of Woe hanging Ciampa, followed up by Chris Sabin's famed hesitation dropkick, which still looks decent, even if he doesn't reach the insane height he used to get on it in his X Division prime. Match basically got cut short by the Street Profits doing a surprise appearance, costing the Midget City Machine Guns the match, and then beating up GAY as well afterwards. The match frankly lacked heat, and the Profits' return didn't get much of a reaction, probably on account of how jabronified they've been time and again over the years. Maybe this is finally where the Profits get a proper push, but no one's holding their breath, and them as heels is a weird fit. Those guys are natural baby faces, but oh well. Kevin Owens is not interested in having a long career past 40, apparently. He bumped, and bumped for this ladder match with Cody Rhodes, including an insane Alabama slam through a ladder where Owens basically went headfirst through 2 of the ladder rungs. It looked great, don't get me wrong, it was really impressive, but it also looked like a tragedy waiting to happen. This kind of reminded me of one of those old Ring of Honor ladder war matches from back in the day. Kevin Owens was involved in them quite a bit, so were the Briscoe brothers and people like that. And credit to these two for working hard to make it feel like an angry grudge match. Sami Lame came running out for more feelings mania. Mr. Emotions and Friendships was pulling his sad boy faces from a safe distance as his friend, enemy, and brother all in one got completely destroyed by Cody Rhodes. The end result was never in doubt for a second, and this feud, while not completely awful, dragged along. The whole pile driver thing, look, it's not 1983 anymore. This isn't Jerry Lawler in Memphis. Orton and Rhodes getting taken out by Kevin Owens as pile driver didn't get the move over to the level they wanted. Instead, it kinda just made Rhodes and Orton look a bit fragile. Orton especially, I mean, he's still not back. Still, the actual match had very good action, and Cody Rhodes seemingly just ending Kevin Owens' life at the end made him look a bit tougher and darker than the usual crybaby crap he subjects us to. The build to the Royal Rumble has shown a darker side of the Cody Rhodes character. It's way more interesting. Hopefully he keeps playing that up more. Alright, so with Kevin Owens finally out of the way, goodbye Kevin, Rhodes ought to have a big deal feud for Mania. Now, he is the champion, he's been the champion since WrestleMania 40. Maybe the Royal Rumble will set that up. What could it be? Maybe a trilogy bout with Roman Reigns. A showdown with his mentor and friend, Randy Orton. Maybe John Cena. I can't wait. Let's see which big star won the Men's Royal Rumble this year. Oh. Oh, right. Okay. Wow. Right, yeah, well, apparently Jey Uso, sorry, damn. Jey Uso, that's the winner. Well, how about that? Jey Uso. That must be high. A man whose matches suck, whose promos are hit and miss, and who lives off a meme. From Vine, which hasn't been a thing in a decade, is the winner. Okay. It appears Triple H's head is all nose and no intellect. Wow! Mid-card Jey Uso. The most manufactured push in wrestling today. Okay. Wow. Do I even review the match? Well, I've already started making this video, yeah, alright. Starting bit with Rey Mysterio and Penta was a lot of fun. Chad Gable got involved then. Action was slick to start the men's rumble. You know, the rumble people actually want to watch. Bron Breakker came out later and totally demolished poor old Carmanlet Hayes. I used to make fun of this guy. At this point, I feel bad for him. Can you believe that Bron Breakker and Carmelo Hayes were booked as equals in NXT? Triple Nose would prefer you didn't, seemingly. Oh, and some influencer, I Show Speed, a simp for Cristiano Ronaldo, a man who leapfrogs Lamborghinis, which, while idiotic, is kind of very athletically impressive. This guy can move, apparently. Anyway, he was in the Rumble. He wasn't meant to be, but he was put in it. Triple Nose needed to get on the TV and convince us all he's down with the kids, yo, and not a boring old fart with a sterile, bland product that's already lost millions of viewers on Netflix. Skibbity that riz, Triple H, you bussin', Alright, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see what I Show Speed's made of. Here we go. Boom! Destroyed by Bron Breakker. Look, this guy bumped and sold for Breakker proper, and I'm not going to trash that. But the way his head bounced off the mat, this young man should have been trained properly and ensured to tuck his chin before taking such a bump. Very dangerous. Really could have been a brain bleed situation. Oh, and then he got squashed by Otis on the outside. So, yeah, not a good night for this guy. Look, it was all quite funny, but it just goes to show that even these influencers realise, and I'm going to sound like an old man here, but they realise a lot of people older than, say, the Gen Z crowd don't particularly like them. Don't hugely want them on the show. So to humour them, these guys agree to take huge bumps and look like fools, provided they get to stay on the show. KSI did something similar back at WrestleMania 39. Just a weird dynamic all round, but I suppose it is an example of any publicity is good publicity. Jacob Fatu, I learned something very interesting about him in this match. He's not a fan of that country they call Mexico, apparently. He crushed Ray Ray, Penta, and Mr. Can You Say That Again Please, Andrade, upon getting in the ring. So that was interesting. He also demolished The Miz, as does everyone who gets in the ring with The Miz now. Fatu was getting cheered, and I think, really, just let this guy be an anti-hero tweener already. Drop Tamatonga, let this guy go solo. Most fans, myself included, enjoy watching a no-nonsense, no-friends tough guy just wreck everyone he encounters. Joe Hendry came out, huge pump. Fans love bland mid-memes, apparently, that's nice. Seeing the TNA World title be treated like a big deal on WWE TV just made me sick. Give it a few years, and AEW will be like this. Michael Cole will try and convince us Orange Cassidy and Daniel Garcia entering the Rumble is a big deal. Man, screw you, Triple Nose. Old Vinnie Mac never would have allowed this invasion of D-listers to happen. At one point, Joe Hendry, it really did look like he low-blowed Roman Reigns. I don't think it was intentional, but that kick was very low. What a weasel. And thank you to the OTC for sending that peroxide Scott home. I don't particularly believe in Joe Hendry. I'm more of an Odin guy, to be honest. The match heated up with Roman Reigns in the house, including fun exchanges with Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. Penta rocked Jacob Fatu with a Canadian destroyer. Here, though, interestingly, they actually sell them. It must be a huge change of pace for Penta after such a long time in AEW, the land that selling forgot. Jey Uso came in at 20, and I'll just save my worthless thoughts on this for later. AJ Styles, one of this channel's top 5 favourite wrestlers ever, made a surprise return after suffering a gnarly injury last year. Great stuff. Good to see him in decent health and back in action. Braun Strowman came out, Braun Jubbin more like, sends Jacob Fatu packing, revenge for Fatu's giant Kardashian ass, bloodying him up at Saturday night's main event, I guess. Hopefully this just means Fatu pins him properly next time. John Cena in the house. His elimination of Finn Balor saw a dangerous mistime when Strowman wasn't there to catch him. Ugly landing for the little Irishman. CM Punk came out, and am I insane? Or did CM Punk look very unhappy? Very unhappy. Sort of like he'd only recently been informed his Royal Rumble dream was gonna remain just that. At one point, Cena, Reigns, and Punk just stood around, eyeing each other up. Cheer us, guys, we're stars, guys, we're not even gonna wrestle, because you sheep will make some noise anyway. And they did make noise. There was some good action in the closing, but let's just fast forward. I mean, what, do you want me to summarize the whole match? Gee. Logan Paul was 30. Funnily enough, I think he is 30 years old, or is going to be soon. LA Knight eliminated Damian Priest. Surprising twist after they became pals on SmackDown this week. I wonder if that's going to be a feud. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins had some decent exchanges before CM Punk eliminated both of them. And then, all smug, Punk didn't pay attention and Logan Paul eliminated him. Ho ho! Oh dear. Now that is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Wow. And right after CM Punk made the joke of Kevin Owens losing to Logan Paul. Yeah, he did that on SmackDown. Wow. Anyway, Rollins obliterated Reigns on the outside, making me wonder, could that be a WrestleMania feud this year? What do we think? Look, you know what? I can barely stomach the match past that point. Some mid-yeet guy eliminated Peacemaker to win. John Cena's retirement tour kicked off with falling at the last hurdle against a man who frankly has no business being this high up on the card. And you'll say, but Burial, is this just because you were a kid when John Cena was hip? Sort of, but it's also because Jey Uso sucks. Don't forget that part. And I hear people saying, oh, but he's really over. So was Zack Ryder. So was Santino Marella. So was R-Truth. You want to give those guys Rumble wins too? Nearly happened in Morella's case, come to think of it. Look, I won't lie, huge pop for Jey Uso's win, and everyone was yeeting and throwing their arms up. But what the hell is this? Is Triple Nose seriously gonna run Uso versus Gunther at WrestleMania? Is it seriously gonna be Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso? There are no good options here. Here are just some great wrestlers who've never won a Royal Rumble for you to consider. Randy Savage, Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. The list goes on. and yet Jey Uso picks it up. This is almost, not quite, but almost, as bad as that time Shinsuke Flappamura won. A catchword, I should say, is not grounds for the main event. All that time, jaded fans like myself spent mucking CM Punk, and Triple Nose went and gave us a result that makes us wish CM Punk had won. What absolute cod-swallowed baloney malarkey balderdash nonsense! Oh, I wish I could swear more on this channel. All the exciting candidates in that match. And this guy wins because what, he's yeet shirts and glasses sell well? Yeah, merchandise sales matter, but they're not the only thing that matters. Awful decision. And this truly, I've tried to be reasonable. I've seen a few people say this, and I've come on board with it officially. This truly is the mid-card era. And next year's Royal Rumble, if memory serves, is in Saudi Arabia. So I guess we can all just stop looking forward to what used to be one of the most fun events of the year for WWE fans. Forever! Or at least until Armageddon arrives. So we will stop looking forward to it for about the next year or two at the absolute most, at this rate.